Carpetbagger here, coming to you live from the South, more specifically, South Carolina. And I had some plans today that kind of got disrupted. I was gonna head over to Carowinds, which is an amusement park that lies on the border of North and South Carolina. It is part of the Cedar Fair family of parks. I figured I'd use my Cedar Fair pass to get in to Carowinds. Now, I knew there was gonna be some bad weather this morning, so I kind of leisurely made my way to Carowinds. They open till 8 o'clock tonight, so I figured it was supposed to be clear afternoon, clear evenings, but a rainy morning. So I showed up to Carowinds, and it was like National Lampoon's Vacation. It was closed. The roller coasters, there was nothing, no movement. I saw the roller coasters, I'm like, no. There's no movement on those roller coasters, is that bad? And then I pulled up and the gate was locked. I checked their Facebook page to see if I was mistaken, if it was closed. Nothing on their Facebook page. I then, however, clicked on their website and they noted that they had closed at 1 p.m. today because of inclement weather. Ironically, I showed up at 2 o'clock and it was beautiful. There was no inclement weather, so they pretty much closed down at the very end of the inclement weather. And I understand, you know, you gotta be safe. You got to be you know, cautious. But please, throw it up on your Facebook page if you're going to close, because you know, people such as myself may have traveled several hours to be here. So yeah, so now we have to find something else fun to do besides Carowinds. So I'm here in South Carolina, just crossed over the border, and in my journeys I've been featuring some of the welcome centers to different states. So I figured, let's see how South Carolina welcomes us here along the North Carolina border. So please, follow me. You can see the South Carolina flag there with the palmetto on it, flapping next to the American flag. All right, we got a pretty nice looking building here. Got the emblem of South Carolina on the side, and we got some nice benches here. Looks like these might be rocking benches. Oh, there we go. Well, that was almost as fun as Carowinds. Okay, we have a mural here of stuff that happens in South Carolina. It's a Revolutionary War reenactment. Oh, there's a carriage ride in Charleston. There's some people playing golf. It's a pretty nice facility in here. You have several different help desks where people will answer your questions about South Carolina. There's a giant map of South Carolina on the wall. The key here shows you the different districts of South Carolina. Okay, look at here. We have a free South Carolina swag bag. All right, this is free. Please help yourself. We'll take one of these. And here's a South Carolina photo op where you can put your head in this Polaroid here. All right, I'm super excited to go through our South Carolina swag bag here. All right. Okay, there's a lot of brochures in here for winery, Oh, this is the Sexton Dental Clinic in Florence, South Carolina. I don't even think that's near here. I'm sorry. Gateway to Chester. So this is pretty much almost every brochure for almost every thing in South Carolina here in this bag. There's a book. There are books in here. There's a book. It says "You Belong at the Beach." So I guess talking about the beaches of South Carolina. Actually, this is pretty much 100% advertisements, which is okay. Look at this. Got an advertisement for Ripley's Aquarium. They actually have a great aquarium there in Myrtle Beach. See, South Carolina Low Country Visitor's Guide. The Palmetto Trail. And what else we got here? South Carolina's Hammock Coast. And I think this is just a, oh, sorry, ripped it. So, such a doofus. Okay. And then we got a map of South Carolina. So this is pretty much everything you need to plan a journey to South Carolina, or plan a journey through South Carolina. There was also, you know, human beings in there that were giving information. So very effective welcome center. I'm not going to take that away from them. I think they lacked a little bit of flash. I always use Florida as the gold standard for welcome centers, because they give you free orange juice when you arrive. I think maybe some peaches, maybe some peach juice when you show up would be nice. So I will let me see. I don't really have a ranking system, but I would say for utilitarian needs, it gets a 10 out of 10. For roadside funness, I will give it a 5.5, if that makes sense. But our day is not ruined just because Carowinds decided to shut down early. They called it. They called the rain. Obviously, probably the main concern is there was probably no one there because it was rainy this morning. They probably had a whole staff of people at the park, and so they just called it a day. You know, they had too many people there. They weren't sure if anyone would show up later in the day. It is so nice out right now. I cannot reiterate. And you know, we're just a few miles away. The sun is shining. It is beautiful. It's really a shame they shut down. It could have been a very nice day at Carowinds, but we're not going to let that ruin our day here. We're going to find something fun to do here somewhere. Look, the water tower is shaped like a baseball and then painted like one too. So because of this terrible weather that we're facing today here in Rock Hill, South Carolina, we're gonna have to maybe do something indoors to get out of the rain. So I think it is time to invoke the EM rule. Check out the Museum of York County here. It may not look that exciting on the exterior, but this museum is a real hidden gem on the inside. Outside we have this totem here. You can see made of different pieces of rusty metal. You can see all different faces there. There's a face, spoons for eyes. There's a shovel face right there. So apparently I showed up just in time for a planetarium show. All right, here we are in the planetarium. There's that big projector there that projects onto the ceiling. Got a nice reclining, relaxing seat here. You kind of lay back so that you can stare at what is happening in the domed ceiling. Yeah, we just look up here and stare into the dome.
Oh, right there. Oh, wow. What is that? Is it, there's a walker. It's a walker. It's that guy's leg. It's Hawaii. It's Hawaii.
All right, so let's check out some of the museum exhibits here. Oh, look at this. Bunch of little specimens there, some mice, some chipmunks, some tiny little bones. Have a little fox here on a stump, and then we can actually look underground, under the stump, and see underground animals like that little chipmunk right there. I love this possum right here. That is like one of the most vicious possum stances I have ever seen. And here we have the ultimate showdown. Fox versus turtle. It's like a tree that can be climbed by children. Look over the branch there. There's a little raccoon relaxing under the drop ceiling. I love this here. I'm a big fan of museums, of course. And since I was a little child, I've always been fascinated by like the nature dioramas with taxidermy. Well, here at this museum, they actually have a diorama explaining how dioramas are made. You can see the finished diorama over here. But it's kind of open up so you can see the chicken wire and wood underneath creating the mud. Over here it talks about how taxidermy is made. You can see some of the tools and chemicals there. We have a form that they'd use for a mammal to put the skin around. And then this shows, it says that birds, they use a different method. They'll make a form out of wood fiber to put inside of the skin. There you see a form being made out of chicken wire and plaster, and actually uses the real skull of the animal there to create something like this. You can see all those things being put together here to create this beautiful tiger diorama here. We have the Naturalist Center, where you can see there's some tables out where people can have some hands-on experience with the skin and bones of animals, as well as some other specimens. Yeah, the amount of taxidermy they have here in this particular museum is pretty impressive. And look at this guy here. It's a big fluffy lynx. Oh man, look how fluffy his paws are. I'd love to have a lynx as a pet. This display talks about animal coloring. I have a black squirrel over here. I know some cities around the United States have black squirrels. I know a lot of cities take pride in, their rare colored squirrels. There's multiple cities like Brevard, North Carolina, who is famous for white squirrels. There's also a city in Illinois, I believe, that celebrates white squirrels. And then I know there's some black squirrel cities as well. I forget the names of the black squirrel cities. I think one is in Ohio. If you know what cities celebrate black squirrels, leave a comment in the comment section. Or if you know of any other city that has unique squirrels, leave a comment as well. And down here we have some animals with albinism. There is an albino porcupine there. That's really beautiful, very unique. It really changes, how the animal looks. Of course, very hard to be an albino animal in the wild because it makes you stand out. It lessens your ability to hide yourself with camouflage. Little albino hedgehog there as well. See a human skeleton there. He's got a headband on because he doesn't have any eyebrows to keep the moisture out of his eye sockets. And then there's the skeleton of a friendly bear. I don't know, do you think a bear looks scarier with its skin off or with its skin on? I don't know, he looks pretty cute. And he looks pretty cute as well. Got a couple of big bears here. The vicious teeth on that grizzly bear there. Then probably the most terrifying bear, the actual polar bear. In real life, they don't drink Coca-Cola. They drink blood. As big as this polar bear is, you can look down and just see how tiny the little newborn polar bear is. It's amazing that something that small and helpless looking can become this large and terrifying. And please, bear with me here. And surrounding this whole room, we have this massive diorama here. Looking at the jungle, you can see the jaguar there. Let's continue on into a, you can see the cheetah there getting ready to ambush this hoofed animal. Yeah, so much going on in the diorama. You just spend hours looking at this and enjoying. Yeah, look at that little fellow right there standing on top of the termite mound. See the termites there inside. Here, there's a pangolin hanging from that tree trunk there. And this guy here, is that I think that's a water buffalo of some sort. Zebra over here. Got all these different hooved animals as we walk along the diorama. Uh-oh, watch out, buddy. I think there's a hyena there. Oh boy, there's lots of hyena prey around here. A hyena can take down pretty much anything he wants. Oh my gosh, look at that. Look at that terrifying baboon there in the back. This is called a giant eland right here. There's also some heads along the wall here. And in the corner we have a giraffe, and there's a ruler on the wall that shows how tall giraffes can get. You can see they actually don't have room for the whole ruler. They had to bend it there. So adult giraffes are 16 to 20 feet tall, and you can see this giraffe had to duck his head down a little bit to fit in the building. Some animals in jars here. There's a stingray and a shark over here. Here we have some eagle wings. Oh, look at that owl. Owl there. A little fox. Chaos reigns. Big alligator on the wall there. And you see this diorama a lot. It's a fun classic diorama where the mongoose squares off with its arch nemesis, the cobras. I don't know much about mongooses. I know they're a type of weasel, and I know that for whatever reason they just fight cobras all the time. It's like the mongoose and the cobra are just always at each other. Just like the ultimate struggle, the mongoose versus the cobra. Oh, and I like this here. You can see the chameleon sticking his tongue out, grabbing the insect down there. And here we have the ultimate showdown, wolf versus wolverine. I think a lot of people don't really know what a wolverine is. They just hear about the X-Men character Wolverine. And I think the name, they think it's some sort of wolf, but that is a wolf, and that is a wolverine. Again, wolf, wolverine, wolf, wolverine. You can see a wolf, actually a large predatory member of the dog family, and a wolverine is like a supercharged, vicious skunk. Yeah, always fun when they have the taxidermied animals killing each other. This is interesting here. It says that when they were creating their new exhibit, the Ice Age exhibit, they had to tear apart the old dioramas. They said this is all stuff that was left behind and found inside the old dioramas. There's some soda bottles and cans, some spray paint and other tools used to create the dioramas, even some sketches of the dioramas used in the creation. All this was just embedded in the dioramas. And here is the new exhibit, the Ice Age Carolinas. Now, I know, dinosaurs get a lot of hype when it comes to museums, but I go to a lot of museums, and I'm starting to feel like the Ice Age is actually more fun than dinosaurs. I don't know if I should say that. Dinosaurs are pretty amazing, but I've learned so much about the Ice Age going to different museums, and it's really, really fascinating. See up there the Smilodon up there with its saber teeth. You can see that happy hyena up there. He's happy because he has a deer's leg in his mouth. That's like the hyena equivalent of a chicken wing. Okay, this exhibit is pretty amazing, and I really love stuff like this. This is some like taxidermy reproductions of extinct animals. So obviously they didn't have the skin, but they're able to create lifelike reconstructions of some Ice Age animals. And I think one thing that does fascinate me about the Ice Age is, like, you can see the animals that are related to modern animals. They're obviously a breed of zebra right there. This creature here is called the terror bird, which, yeah, it looks pretty terrifying there. And actually, I remember seeing pictures of this bird and being terrified as a kid. And, you know, I'd get like the zoo books and look at prehistoric animals. And I remember this guy he was always shown eating a little horse, like a little horse. You actually, they have the picture right here. You can see he's actually munching on that tiny horse there. So the terror bird, one of his defining characteristics is that he eats little horses. Yeah, these displays are magnificent. I mean, it looks just like a modern animal in taxidermy, except these are prehistoric animals that no one ever got a chance to see. This is the Holmes capybara. So capybara is the world's largest rodent, and this is a massive capybara. And then here is the stout-legged llama. This is a Galiptodon, kind of a prehistoric giant armadillo. And I think this one is allowed to be climbed on. Gotta be honest with you guys, I think I almost pulled my groin there trying to straddle the Galiptodon. One of the predatory monsters of the Ice Age, the short-faced bear. One of the scariest Ice Age predators there. One of my personal favorite Ice Age animal, the ground sloth. This is the Jefferson's ground sloths. The sloths used to be these giant lumbering creatures that walked on land. Now they're these tiny little animals that just sleep in trees all day. I think these were still pretty slow. They just kind of slowly walked around, munching on what they could find. Now this up here is a Columbian mammoth. I do have a difficult time telling the difference between mastodons and mammoths. First I thought this was a mastodon because it was more elephant-like. When I think of mammoths, I think of like the woolly mammoth, but this is a mammoth. This is a nice smooth-shaven mammoth, but I don't really know the difference between a mammoth or a mastodon. Even every time I think I figured it out, I get proven wrong. So if you know the difference between a mammoth and a mastodon, leave a comment in the comment section. So if we walk up these stairs, we can get a mammoth's eye view. So we can go face to face with the mammoth there and look down on some of the other creatures there. And I just realized there's a porcupine in the tree over there. And down here we have the giant beaver, making very short work of that spindly little tree there. Up there is an American lion. Again, crazy to think that we had lions in America at one point. Go over there and see the bald eagle. These bald eagles have been around a while, hanging out during the Ice Age. So these are Ice Age survivors, animals that were around during the Ice Age and are still around today. It's the elephants, lions, all these other creatures here. The normal-sized beaver is still around. And over here, these are animals. These are animals that didn't make it. And you can see, you can tell they didn't make it because they're skeletons. They're doomed. These guys here, they made it. You can tell just by looking at them. They made it. These guys, well, things didn't turn out well for them. Let's see, little rodent there. Has his little hidey hole down here, and he's got a bone. He is a bone collector, adding that bone there to his collection. It's like we exit here through a fossil site. Oh, you can see some of the paleontologists' tools there. Then we step into the fossil lab. Oh yeah, try to put these bones together. Let's see, bone there. That's a knuckle, I think. Okay, this is way harder than you'd think. Wait, that goes in there, I think. Yeah, if I tried to put together a prehistoric animal, it would end up looking absolutely ridiculous. Some fossils being prepared there. Oh, what's this? Do we got some mammoth teeth in here? Heading into a little more recent time period. This is the Carolina Piedmont, 600 years ago. You can see the buffalo there. Used to be buffalo in North Carolina. I know some of you may actually be going to the comment section right now to tell me, actually, this is not a buffalo. This is a bison. And let me just say, it's both. You can call it a bison. You can call it a buffalo. People, since English speakers have first seen this animal, it was referred to as a buffalo. You know, even there may be an earlier animal that was referred to as a buffalo that's not related, and that's fine. In non-scientific terms, you can call this a buffalo. It's okay. It really is. If you want to call it a bison, call it a bison. There's no reason to be at each other's throats about it. You can see the brave bald eagle there. He's got himself a nice, delicious fish for dinner. Now over here in the snowy scene, we can see that it is indeed a bad day to be an elk. That elk is dead. There's wolves eating his intestines. And this vulture, he's gonna eat what's ever left. He's like, hey wolves, leave some for me. And we can see the elk saying, oh, I should have stayed in bed this morning. Here we have the Carolina parakeet, which is an extinct species of bird. This is not a taxidermied specimen though, this is a recreation here. And what's interesting, I was reading right here, it says the last Carolina parakeet died at the Cincinnati Zoo in 1918. I think that's a fascinating fact because just 8 years earlier, the last passenger pigeon, Martha, died at the Cincinnati Zoo in 1910. So is the Cincinnati Zoo, is that where birds go to become extinct? Why were the last two species both at that zoo? I don't know. Interesting. I actually look into this. What about the Cincinnati Zoo caused that to be the case? This is an exhibit about food that people ate 600 years ago. And I'm looking at this dish over here, and my goodness, that actually looks pretty delicious. I think I'd love some grilled fish and clams and berries and mushrooms. Oh man, I wish I was eating this tonight. See the raccoon digging around in the river there. Looks like he's actually got a little snake there in his hands. Museum of York County. I feel like the people of York County are incredibly fortunate to have such a great museum for them to visit locally. The Ice Age exhibit here was amazing. Like, I've seen Ice Age exhibits in much larger cities and much larger museums that are that is equal to or even better than. So it's really amazing. I think this is, for like a small town museum, this is very, very impressive. A very great collection of taxidermy, and then that amazing Ice Age exhibit. So yeah, this is an absolute treasure here. You know, don't hesitate to go out of your way a little bit to come here either. I like to make a habit of visiting local museums. You know, some local museums are very small. You know, they don't necessarily have you know, a high budget, so you know, they'll display, you know, small local things. But yeah, sometimes you just hit one that blows you away. You're like, wow, I was not expecting this. So yeah, I always try to make a habit of checking out the small museums and seeing what sort of cool things lie inside. And this is, for as far as small town museums, this is very high near the top of my list. Wanted to come out here to Gaffney, South Carolina to check on a major icon here in Gaffney, the Peachoid, a giant peach-shaped water tower here. It's next to the Fats Cafe, or at least it was next to the Fats Cafe. It looks like the Fats Cafe is actually closed down. So yeah, it used to be next to the Peachoid here. That looks like it's shut down. It is currently non-operational, but we do have that amazing giant peach here. Now, unfortunately, we can't get any closer. Looks like this park here, this was a public park, but it has been locked up. So I guess people are not currently allowed in the park. But I think this might be a good opportunity to take Possum 4 up into the sky. It's got some footage there of the Peachoid, although I did get some wind warnings when I was flying, so I pulled it back down. I'm nervous about flying in the wind. That's actually how I lost Possum 2, because it got too windy. Possum 1, that was a big DJI Phanta, the big white drone. That actually could fly in the wind pretty well. But the smaller models, not so much. I had a couple problems with them blowing away. There were a few times they blew away, but I was able to get back a hold of them. But yeah, you got to be careful, especially with the smaller drone. You don't want it up there when it's too windy. But yeah, I actually had an interesting story, at least interesting, of a personal story connected with the Peachoid, and that is, you know, some of you know that before I made videos on YouTube, I mostly took still photographs. I had a blog, but before the blog, I would actually upload my photos to a website called Flickr, which was a photo sharing site at the time. It actually still exists. It's just kind of a shadow of its former self. It kind of got like, it was kind of Instagram before Instagram, and then when Instagram came along, it kind of put an end to Flickr as we knew it. But so actually I had some pictures of the Peachoid up there on Flickr, and then at some point I was contacted by someone working for a television company. And they told me that they wanted to use my picture of the Peachoid in a new show that they were producing called House of Cards. Now, some of you actually realize that, or have seen House of Cards. It actually did become a real television show on Netflix. And I was so excited. I was like, this is my big break. I'm finally gonna get, you know, my work featured somewhere. Now, I wasn't getting paid for it. Did I get paid for it? Now I think they did pay me for it. I think they paid me for it. I think they paid me for it. Not a lot. I think they paid me a small amount, but I was excited. I didn't even care that they paid me. I was just excited to have my picture featured on a real television show on Netflix. I was so excited. I was so excited that I would like wait. I would always look, try to figure out when House of Cards was coming out. When I finally got a date, I was like counting down the days till I could finally have my big break and I could be in House of Cards. And then they showed the episode, and it was the very first episode was actually about the Peachoid, and there was a whole subplot about how people would be distracted driving by the Peachoid. Someone wrecked their car while driving the Peachoid, and instead of filming, it just kind of shows you how like stuff like works. Instead of like filming at the actual Peachoid, they just like superimposed a picture of it, like I guess using computer animation, like had the picture just like there, like as like a flat background while like they pretended to look at it. But I was like squinted and I'm like, that's not my picture. I actually spent a whole day like I was comparing. I'm like, maybe it's my picture, maybe it's not, because they didn't like communicate with me after the initial communication. But yeah, I compared enough. I'm like, that's not my picture. The shadows were wrong, and I was really bummed. Like it really bummed. I tell you, I really bummed me out because I waited such a long time, and to me at the time it seemed like such a big deal. You know, nowadays I'm like, I don't have that same desire to like be on television or be in a movie or anything like that. But back then, I took photos. I craved some recognition. I craved like maybe my photo being used somewhere. So that was like a big letdown. But then fast forward a few years, and the star of the show, Kevin Spacey, allegedly abused underage boys, and yeah, and now, looking back, I'm glad they didn't use my picture of the Peachoid. Well, yeah, look, yeah. But back then, Kevin Spacey was actually respected. Now, so, come down here to downtown Spartanburg, South Carolina to see a very interesting monument. And no, it's not this monument right here. It's actually this monument over here. See a happy dog with a blue ball in its mouth, a wild look on its face. We can see from this plaque here, this is Chaser, the border collie, who lived from 2004 to 2019. And apparently, Chaser is known as the smartest dog in the world. Looks pretty smart to me. And apparently, not only is Chaser the smartest dog in the world, Chaser was shown to have the best memory of any non-human. So Chaser lived here in Spartanburg. Her owner was worked at the college, was a research professor who would actually wanted to test the dog's understanding and memory, and so he would use the dog's toys and assign them names and use verbal cues. And Chaser was able to identify 1,000 different objects by name. So that making her the smartest dog to have ever lived. Although it does make me wonder. Obviously, there was a research scientist involved. There may be smarter dogs out there. We just haven't done the research to figure that out. So I definitely love like monuments to famous animals here, and here you have the monument to the world's smartest dog. I didn't know about this until today. And you learn a lot. You do learn a lot from going to different statues and monuments. I never knew that they had a statue of the world's smartest dog. And I guess for photo op purposes, I think they have some footprints here, so we can put our feet where her owner's feet would go. And I guess well, give me that ball. Come on, grr. Come on, give me the ball. Give me the ball. She's not gonna give me the ball. Said the dog's name was Chaser because she loved to chase things. Although, you know, a lot of dogs like to chase things. So I would think that wouldn't be as a very unique quality for a dog. But this is the smartest dog in the world. So that seems like it would be a much more fitting characteristic to name the dog after. I don't know, maybe they should call her like Thinky or Smarto. That'll do, Chaser. That'll do. Here's another dog monument here in downtown Spartanburg. It says Hoondirt, and I know nothing else about it. I was walking past these outhouses, and then I got hit with a giant spray of water, and I was completely disgusted because I thought I'd just been splattered with pure sewage. And then I looked over here and realized there's the winds blowing this fountain, and I was so happy that I was not covered in sewage. Thank you for joining me here today as we try to make some lemonade out of lemons. My plan was I drove out to Carowinds. I wanted to feature that amusement park as the focus of today's video, but we can't control the weather. We can't control the decision making of a theme park to make the decision to close for the day. So we can only affect what we do, and hopefully we had enough fun today and saw enough interesting things that you guys enjoyed this video. Oh, there's like a dog fight. You hear that barking? There was like a dog fight back there. Those aren't the world's smartest dogs. They're the world's most aggressive dogs. Anyways, so yeah, I hope we you know, I would try to be flexible. Sometimes it's hard for me. I'm the kind of person that likes to plan things out. But when you're on that long, lonesome road, you can't always plan things out. Sometimes you got to take things as they come. So I hope you enjoyed the video today, even though we didn't get a chance to go to Carowinds. Maybe sometime later this year we'll get a chance to swing by old Carowinds now that it is the summer months are approaching. But thank you guys so much. If you like these videos, please subscribe. I travel around to roadside attractions, amusement parks, museums, haunted houses, and other fun random stuff. If you'd like to support the channel, consider contributing to Patreon. $3 or more will get you a postcard once a month from me to you. Also selling enamel pins in the Etsy shop. There should be some new ones coming relatively soon. And I'm still doing cameos, personalized greetings, personalized messages for birthdays, anniversaries, and or just for fun. If you're interested in that, all the information is in the description of this video. And until next time, this one's in the bag.